Oh, goodness. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. All right. How is everyone? There we go. All right. Well, welcome, everyone. My name is Rebecca Price, and I'm with the Nashville Public Library. And I want to welcome everyone here tonight to launch our third season of Then and Now, the History of Nashville's Minority Communities. This series is presented by Vanderbilt University and hosted by Nashville Public Library Special Collections, which is home to two of Nashville's beloved community spaces, the Civil Rights Room and the Votes for Women's Room. We are honored to host this series and are thankful to all of you here tonight. And for those watching live on YouTube, as such, please be mindful that we are recording tonight's presentation. Before we begin tonight's program, let us be reminded that we occupy the ancestral and traditional lands of the Cherokee, Shawnee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Creek nations. We are humbled and we honor all the ancestors of this land on which we meet today, from the elders who have gone before to the generations to come. It is now my pleasure to introduce Vanderbilt's Meigs, Dr. André Churchwell, with us tonight in his role as Senior Advisor to the Chancellor on Inclusion and Community Outreach.
Can be a bit confusing, right? But we're in East Nashville, and I'm about a mile from my ancestral home over there on 707 North 9th Street, so I feel at home. Though this is a ghost of the place we were, this was the gym, the little cracker box where Michael Douglas jammed all over all the Pearl High team. I'm sorry, Linda, about mentioning that. And also, if any Cameron people, he jammed on them too, so there you go. So I'm just saying, here we go, as the kids say. Well, thank everybody for coming. This is the 12th program we've done in our Then and Now series, the history of minority communities in Nashville. This program is part 3 of a 3-part series to address the history of Black Nashville, specifically that of East Nashville and the Meigs School Story. We have covered North Nashville with the Pearl High School story. That was really magnificent. We covered South Nashville and the Cameron High School story. And it's only natural that we would conclude our Black Nashville story here in East Nashville in the Meigs School Story. Leading us on the history of East Nashville and Meigs is a celebrated historian, Linda Wynn, Pearl High School class of '66 with Perry Wallace, I will say. And she's going to share the history of East Nashville, Black East Nashville, with us as part of her role here. We appreciate her doing this. And then the history of Nashville would be incomplete if we didn't talk about this story. Our communities grew out of the favorable circumstances from the Civil War, oddly enough. In most cases, we settled where the Union Army left barracks or encampments. That was specifically the case, certainly in North Nashville, around Fisk and around Pearl. And of course, the same could be said about the Fort Negley, the Battle of Fort Negley that included the largest number of Black Union soldiers in this whole country. That Black encampment was Bass Street at the end of the Civil War. And Bass Street was a thriving, large Black population that moved towards, further in the South Nashville, towards Cameron in the wake of urban renewal, of what we call inappropriate highway system development. So we're not going to get into that. But the interesting part about all of this is that Black Nashvillians have made up, since the Civil War, about 25 to 30% of this city. I don't care if it's 1900, 1920, or 2025. And that seems to be anchored and tied to the middle class that's around our Black institutions of higher learning. Mostly anchored to the fact we have a Meharry, Fisk University, and Tennessee State University. And that has led to the sustaining influence of the large number of Black people that live in this city, that populate this city, that actually contribute to this city. So we'll hear more details from Dr. Wynn, and then we'll have personal stories of the influence and significance of Meigs from our community leaders and our historians here on the panel. We'll follow our usual template, beginning with the history of this community by Dr. Wynn, followed by the history and culture of Meigs High School, a personal perspective by Athelia Martin Taylor, Meigs High School class of 1968, followed by a discussion of Meigs luminaries by Arnold Simpson, Meigs High School class of 67. And last, if you want to yell, say yell. If that's your class, please speak up. And lastly, we have assembled a group of community leaders who either attended Meigs up to a certain grade before integration took place, or graduated from Meigs, or taught at Meigs. So how about that? We'll have a nice collection of diverse members that have been part of the Meigs story. We'll conclude with personal history by Ricky Cole. Ricky will be our last one, our youngest member of the panel. How about that, Ricky, being the youngest person on the panel, who attended Meigs through the 8th grade before he moved on to East and the integration that took place that a number of us left here in 1970 to finish our education at East Nashville High. But we never forgot Meigs and the Meigs Mavericks and the blue and white of Meigs. So Myra Taylor, who's the principal of East, wanted to be here, but she had the National Honor Society program tonight, which I think almost all of you are. Wasn't everybody here in the National Honor Society? Okay, right. You know, we're all populated that prestigious group too. And so she couldn't make it, but she sends her greetings and her best wishes for this event. So we'll now begin with Linda Wynn, Pearl High School class of 66, Assistant Director for State Programs, Tennessee Historical Commission. She'll share a history of East Nashville and Black East Nashville and a little bit about Meigs School and its 2 iterations. So Linda, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Caldwell. Yeah, I'm short. Churchwell, I'm sorry.
Up Churchwell.
Let me thank you for asking me again to do the history of East Nashville. It is a pleasure to be here, and Dr. Churchwell mentioned that I'm a proud graduate of Pearl High School, class of 66. And I really did look for some blue to wear. I really did, but I couldn't make up my mind if the TSU blue was the same as the Maverick. Is it the same blue? Okay. So I decided to go with red. The African American history in East Nashville is just as interesting, complicated, and forbearing as that of North and South Nashville. During the late 1860s, the first Black residential areas were established in Nashville, and they were concentrated at the Civil War era contraband camps such as Edgefield in East Nashville. Others included Edge Hill in South Nashville, near Fort Gillum and the Nashville-Chattanooga Railroad Yard in downtown Nashville. Black neighborhoods were also formed downtown at Black Bottom and Trimble Bottom in South Nashville. The Union Army's placement of the 3rd Contraband Camp, Edgefield, on the eastern side of the Cumberland River became Nashville's 4th African-American neighborhood. By 1850, Edgefield was home to some of the large slaveholders. 13 years later, over 2,000 African Americans lived in Edgefield's contraband camp. Because of the major railroad ran through the community and crossed into Nashville, the Union Army used the areas enslaved to build repair shops and warehouses on the eastern side of the river. Edgefield's first permanent African American Baptist congregation was organized in 1866. And thereafter, preachers dominated the leadership in early African-American Edgefield. The Reverend Randall B. Vanderbilt left the white Central Baptist Church and founded Vanderbilt's Baptist Church, which is today's First Baptist Church, East Nashville. Edgefield slaves had a Baptist congregation as early as January of 1861. When Nashville's white First Baptist Church, established a second colored Baptist mission in Edgefield on Fatherland Street. The mission was jointly directed by a white committee and a free black preacher, George Dardis. Nelson G. Mary, who was the pastor of First Colored Baptist Church, now First Baptist Church, Spruce Street Baptist Church, Mount Olivet Baptist Church. The reason I'm saying that is because the church split, and all three of those churches came from First Baptist Colored. But Nashville's white First Baptist Church abruptly discontinued the East Nashville mission in June of 1861, when Tennessee decided to enter the Civil War. For a long time, the church was called Vanderbilt Baptist Church. The pastor became such an influential leader in the Vanderbilt Public School, which was in the 1880s, on Westmore and Spring Street, and was named in his honor. Roger Williams University awarded him, and that was an African-American university, awarded him an honorary doctorate of divinity degree in 1886. Vanderbilt served on the Negro Committee for the Tennessee Centennial Exposition in 1897. First Baptist Church East Nashville was officially chartered on November the 13th, 1882. Vanderbilt officiated at the Reverend Nelson G. Mary's funeral on July the 15th, 1884. During the Reconstruction era, Benjamin Pap Singleton joined with an African-American minister from Sumner County for entrepreneurial purposes. In 1869, Singleton joined forces with Columbus M. Johnson, who was an African-American in Sumner County, and they began looking for ways to establish black economic independence. 5 years later, Singleton and Johnson founded the Edgefield Real Estate Association with the goal of helping African Americans acquire land in the Nashville area. White landowners were unwilling to bargain with them and wanted to charge unaffordable prices for their land. Convinced that formerly enslaved people must leave the South to achieve true economic independence, in 1875, Singleton began to explore the idea of planting black colonies in the American West. His real estate organization was renamed Edgefield Real Estate and Homestead Association. In 1876, Singleton and Johnson traveled to Kansas to scout land in the Cherokee County in the southeastern corner of the state. Hardened by what he saw, Singleton returned to Nashville and began recruiting settlers for the proposed colony. For years, the north end of Topeka was called Tennessee Town. Other early African-American churches in East Nashville included Braden Memorial Church, which was organized and founded by Dr. John Braden in 1881. It would serve as the first Methodist denomination in East Nashville. There was First Baptist South Englewood that was founded by William H. Bailey in a double tenement and as a small mission known as North 6th Street Baptist Church. In 1913, the State Convention and Sunday School Congress convened and accepted the North 6th Street Baptist Church as an affiliate member. A storm partially destroyed the modest frame structure used for church worship. The congregation relocated under the Cleveland Street Viaduct, hence the name Cleveland Street Missionary Baptist Church. That became its official name on July 1, 1922. Shortly thereafter, the congregation purchased 1.26 acres of land from the city of Nashville, and that is the site of Cleveland Street Missionary Baptist Church location. The education of African American children in Nashville was also important, but whites did not want the education of African American children to take place. In May of 1870, city functionaries opened one school for whites and one for African Americans. 10 years later, there were approximately 1,500 African American students regularly enrolled at Bellevue, McKee, Trimble, and Vanderbilt. Because of the overcrowding of Vanderbilt School, the only school in East Nashville for African American children, Meigs opened as a grammar school in 1883 and was named in honor of James L. Meigs, the second superintendent of public schools. On September the 20th, 1886, under Principal D.N. Crossway, an African American, Meigs became the first public African American high school in Nashville. In the academic year of 1897-98, Meigs High School Department was transferred to Pearl. Meigs remained an elementary and junior high school until 1958, when it again became a high school. In 1969, Meigs graduated its last high school class. The following year, it reverted to a middle school. In 1883, it became Meigs Magnet School for grades 5 through 8. One of the African American areas established in East Nashville was Rock City. Rock City was established in 1881. Named for a rock quarry in the area, the area's approximate boundaries were Cahell Avenue to the south, Branch Street to the east, Lytton Avenue to the north, and Pennington Avenue to the west. The area's children attended Rock City Elementary School on Pennington Avenue, which closed in 1954, the same year that the United States Supreme Court issued its unanimous Brown versus Board of Education decision. The Men's Civic Club raised funds to provide support for the church and community. 4 years after the establishment of Rock City, the first African American fire company opened. Engine Company Number 4, the first African American fire company in Nashville, was organized January the 15th, 1885, which was located at 424 Woodland Street. 7 years later, on January the 2nd, 1892, Captain C.C. Gowdy, hosman Harvey Ewan, and real driver Stokely were killed while battling a fire that destroyed a full city block in Nashville's business district along 3rd Avenue North. It is believed to have been one of the worst fires Nashville had seen at that time. Funeral services for the fallen firefighters were held in the state capitol building on January the 6th, 1892. Recreational facilities for African Americans in East Nashville were added during the third decade of the 20th century. Established in 1934 by the Board of Park Commissioners to serve Nashville's African American community, the park was quietly opened without formal announcement 2 years later, following protracted opposition from white residents. Initially sited between Pike Street and the tracks of the Nashville and Louisville Railroad, the parcel contained a 6-hole golf course and community center with a croquet and tennis courts added by 1949. The original park was destroyed in 1963 to make room for Ellington Parkway. At the same time, 20 acres were added for a new park approximately 1/4 mile to the southwest. The park was initially known as Frederick Douglass Park in both of its first and second locations. However, the spelling of its name was changed in 2017 to reflect the full and correct name of Frederick Douglass, the famous abolitionist and orator who visited Nashville in 1873. Now covering 32 acres, bounded to the north by the busy Ellington Parkway and surrounded by residential neighborhoods, the park contains a baseball field, soccer field, and a playground. The open landscape gradually slopes from the north 8th Street toward Frederick Douglass Head Start Center, which is located on the western edge. Informal groupings of canopy trees shade in the northwest corner, while a wooded thicket occupies the southwest corner. Now, entrepreneurial opportunities also existed in East Nashville. Consumer drugstore on 700 Main Street was owned and operated by Dr. Howard Lawrence Burley, Sr. Consumers offered items like Woolworths, along with a soda fountain. Burley allowed patrons to purchase items on credit. Parents often saw pharmacists as lay doctors, first seeking their diagnosis before visiting a physician for a prescription, and then coming back to consumer drugs and Dr. Burley to obtain the medicine. Dr. Burley was funeralized at First Baptist Church, East Nashville, where he was a member after his demise on October the 12th, 2012. 8 days later, his remains were entombed at Woodlawn South Mausoleum. As African Americans moved to gain their civil rights, East Nashville captured the attention not only of city officials, but of the nation. In the forefront of the modern civil rights movement, Robert Churchwell, Sr., a graduate of Pearl High School, earned his undergraduate degree in 1949 from Fisk University. A year later, he made history. In 1950, Churchwell joined the previously all-white Nashville Banner. Although the Banner hired him to increase the newspaper circulation in the African American community, he accepted the position because Nashville's black paper had no paying jobs. But here's the catch. At the Banner, they would not allow him to come into the office. He had to submit his stories from home. The executives' racial attitudes prevailed, even as we know, in the 1950s. His initial beat was called, quote, Negro News, unquote. The 1954 U.S. Supreme Court Brown v. Board of Education school desegregation case led to his coverage of education and Nashville's public schools. Churchwell retired from the Banner in September of 1991. After 31 years of service, he was eventually allowed to go into the office. For a brief period of time in 1980-81, he became acting public relations director at Tennessee State University. He continued to be active by serving as a writer and a member of the editorial consulting staff for the National Union Review, which was a publication, or is a publication, of the National Baptist Publishing Board. Dr. Robert Churchwell and his wife, Mary Elizabeth Buckingham Churchwell, had 5 children, 2 of whom are here tonight. The others included Kevin, Keith, Marissa, and Marissa. And they are all, Andrew, Kevin, and Keith are all accomplished physicians. Robert Churchwell Sr. passed on February the 1st, 2009. A year later, in 2010, the Metro School Board changed the name of Warden Elementary School, which was named for Arthur Dixon Warden, who was a Confederate naval hero, to Robert Churchwell Museum Magnet Elementary School. In 1957, anti-desegregationists wanting to maintain the racial status quo attempted to stop the desegregation of Hattie Cotton School. Hattie Cotton Elementary School opened on September the 1st, 1950 at 1033 West Greenwood Avenue here in East Nashville. The school was named after Hattie R. Cotton, who was a Nashville educator who taught the chair of the City Board of Education. She became a teacher in 1905 and was named the city's academic supervisor in 1919. She died 2 years after her retirement in 1926. Hattie Cotton became a desegregated school in 1957, following the Supreme Court's decision, which set in motion the desegregation of American schools. After a court order in January of 1957, Nashville adopted what became known as the Nashville Plan in the fall. And the Nashville Plan was simply, we will desegregate 1 grade a year. So theoretically, it would take you 12 years for the schools to be desegregated up to the 12th grade. The plan was to begin with the integration or desegregation, as I prefer, of 6 elementary schools: Bailey, Buena Vista, Fair, Glenn, Hattie Cotton, and Jones, which were to desegregate 1 grade level per year. Hattie Cotton admitted 1 African American, a 6-year-old girl, but on September the 9th, 1957, or on September the 10th, 1957, the school was bombed. Most likely by the KKK supremacists protesting desegregation. If you want to know more about the bombings of Nashville that took place during the Civil Rights Movement, I highly suggest that you read Betsy Phillips' book on the bombings of Nashville during the era of desegregation. I might also mention that none of those bombings to this day have been solved. 9 days after Hattie Cotton opened and the school went back into session, Patricia's mother refused to let her go back to Hattie Cotton. She transferred her to Head Elementary School in North Nashville. After weeks of investigation and a $7,000 reward, which we kind of put that in today's dollars, we're talking close to probably $65,000, and at least 6 detentions, no charges were filed in the school bombing. 18 years after the bombing of Hattie Cotton, Vernon Winfrey was elected to the Metro Council. Winfrey built his barber career by steadily serving his community. He was a deacon at Faith United Baptist Church, and he served on the Metro Council from 1975 to 1991, and as a trustee for Tennessee State University. At the end of the summer of 1963, Winfrey graduated from Hasler's Barber College. After serving a year and a half as an apprentice, he opened his own shop. And we know what a force he was in the East Nashville community, and it goes without saying that his daughter is Oprah Winfrey. Okay. What we have is Winfrey served in the 5th District for 16 years. He helped many young men turn their lives around. He took on the responsibility of mentoring them, showing them how to recognize better opportunities and to make good life decisions. Vernon Winfrey took other barbers under his wing until they could open their own barbershops and schools. And last, as I said, but certainly not least, he was the father of Oprah Winfrey, who was also a graduate of Meigs High School and Tennessee State University. This is a very brief history of East Nashville. My favorite friend here gave me 10 minutes, and I tried to cover as much as I could in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just do a little historical correction. She finished East High. She came through Meigs and finished East High in the class of 71 with me, as a matter of fact. There you go. Tennessee State and all that's true. Well, thank you for that history lesson. And we're going to move on to have Othelia Martin Taylor, Meigs High School class of 68, will give her personal perspective of the history and culture of Meigs High School. And next slide, please. We'll just use next slide as the way to go. Here we go.
Good evening, Mavericks. I'm Othelia Martin Taylor, class of 68, and I'm here to reminisce about our dear old Meigs. I think those glasses are back in style now. Next slide. This might be a little tough, but anyway, okay. I'm sure a lot of you remember the article in the Tennessean newspaper about the demolition of Meigs High School in 2002 and how you were personally affected. We are now on the hallowed grounds, the ghost of Meigs past, and we all have memories. Next slide. My parents went to Meigs from the first through the 8th grades, 1926 through 1934. They were at Meigs in 1933 when a tornado destroyed the school and a lot of East Nashville. After leaving Meigs, they transferred to Pearl to start the 9th grade. I once visited the Pearl Alumni Room and found my parents' graduation photos. They both graduated Pearl in 1940 and 1941. I credit my life's successes to my parents, their wisdom and teaching, and my God for his wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Next slide. Next slide. I would also like to thank the teachers of Meigs who provided us with a great foundation for our education, the framework on how to approach the world, and to go out and conquer it. Our teachers were caring. They look out for us academically as well as socially. Some teachers were at every dance, athletic competition, and more. Next slide. And next slide. Next slide. Okay. The alumni's tribute to our teachers comes in the form of the memorial brick display outside the main entrance of the school. The alumni started the memorial process in 2007, and ended in 2014. We counted 61 teachers' names from our records, and each teacher's name is on one of the bricks down the left side of the display outside in the back of the school. The alma mater, mascot, and years of existence are scribed on the display as well. And thank you, Jerry Lennox, for the mascot. Next slide. This next slide is some of the alumni that took on the task of laying the brick display. Next slide. Okay, we also had teachers who would visit your home. I remember Mr. Q.L. Gray. He was a coach, industrial arts teacher, and he, like many of our teachers, wore many hats. Mr. Gray also went door to door in the neighborhood selling encyclopedias. How many of y'all's parents brought encyclopedias? Mine did too. Next slide. Our principals had our welfare in mind as well. Mr. Gupton came to Meigs as an assistant principal in 1960 through 1964. He became principal in 1964 until his retirement in 1971. Mr. Gupton wore hats, many hats as well. Next slide. Ms. Pedway would also would make home visits and deliveries as well. It was nothing for some teachers to come to your house if there was a problem at school. My great-grandmother lived directly across the street from Meigs when I was in grade school. Today that block is now apartments. I don't remember what grade I was in, but I happened to look out the window one day in class, and there was Mr. Petway escorting one of my sisters, and I won't say which one, but to my grandmother's house. I knew that wasn't right, so she must have gotten in some trouble, but we won't go there. We'll leave that where it is. See, our teachers and principals really cared about us. Next slide. And I certainly don't want to forget Miss Whitfield, who taught me Spanish. Hola. Muchas gracias. We always loved it when the teachers would come to our events. And in particular, Miss Whitfield still attends our events, and she still looks good. It's just something about that connection with our teachers. Next slide. Okay. Those who wanted to participate in school activities had no problem getting involved. We were encouraged to participate, and everyone had a talent. I remember wanting to learn to play an instrument. I was walking through the band room, and Mr. J.D. Chavis, our band director, asked if I wanted to learn to play an instrument. I had no idea which instrument, but he did. It was near the end of the school year when he taught me the basics of the clarinet, started me with a few lessons, and let me take it home for the summer to practice. That fall, I was semi-up to speed, but he worked with us all, and we got it right. I love the band, marching, and concert. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. After I left the band, I joined the chorus under the tutelage of Miss Tommy B. Dawson. She commanded the best, and we produced the best. I love the concert performances. Some of the chorus went to Schrader's Lane one year. To sing Christmas carols to Miss Dawson and other residents there. And of course, she conducted and listened for any little tweaks. And that was a wonderful time, and she really enjoyed it. Next slide. Mr. Ronald O. Davis was my English teacher as well as dramatics coach. I couldn't act, but I made a good behind-the-scenes sound technician. Next. Next slide. Mr. Davis was another caring teacher. He demanded perfection as well, and if you do anything, do it well. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. School life well lived gives memories to cherish and friends to keep for a lifetime. I cherish my time in Meigs and friends I've made for a lifetime. I owe it, a lot of it, to my school life. It has helped shape me into the person I am today and helped me discover my interests as well. Love Thy White and Blue. Thank you.
Boy, she worked on that. Wasn't that beautiful? Wasn't that beautiful? Right to the point. We're missing some people who couldn't be here tonight. Lonnie Leslie, who's up here playing ball someplace, couldn't be here. He's down in Atlanta making deals. I think Michael Douglas did finally make it. There he is. There you go. Yeah. When we finish, we want you to bend some of these rims, if you don't mind. Okay. Michael did make it. You know, Chick Chavis was such an important figure in music in Nashville, not just for Meigs, but all the major bands, but certainly here, taught me how to play trumpet for sure. I'd like to acknowledge his son, Jay, who came to be with us here, represent his family and his dad, Jay, Chick's son, Jay. Thank you, Jay, for coming. Appreciate that. We also had another teacher who wanted to be here, but she couldn't make it from Huntsville, and that's Miss Tipton. She's not on the early 60s. She came in the latter part of the 60s to be a PE coach here, and Josephine Tipton, and you know her son, who's a church here in town, but she sends along her greetings too. I need to mention one other person. My partner in this is Samara Lee, who's a research professor at Vanderbilt, who runs the Millions of Conversation program, and she couldn't be here to be with us because her father-in-law passed away this weekend, but she sends along her greetings, and her team is here with us too. Well, let's move on. We're going to now move on to Professor CEO Simpson, who's going to share some of his ideas about luminaries, Meigs luminaries. There's a lot of luminaries out here. Probably all of us could be voted as such, but we're going to talk about a few. We only have a certain amount of time. Arnold, please, come on up. How about that Maverick blue? Whoa. Watch out. Here we go.
713 Ramsey Street, Meigs School. These are hallowed grounds for a lot of us here tonight. It is a homecoming for a lot of us. My assignment tonight is to talk about some of the Meigs luminaries. As Dr. Churchwell said, there are a lot of luminaries, and I cannot mention them all tonight. And even the ones that I'm going to mention, I can't go into the details that I would like to because of time restraints. Now, Dr. Churchwell is pretty tight with time. And a lot of you know that when someone gets up to speak, when you're trained, you're supposed to basically have at least three things, sometimes more. You're supposed to stand up, you're supposed to speak up, and one of the Hawkins said you're supposed to shut up. I didn't say that. Now I can do two of those quite well. The other one, well, we'll just have to see. Luminaries. What is a luminary? Webster Dictionary says, it's someone who is proficient in a certain vocation or craft. Someone who has influence. And I think those are good. But from Simpson jargon, I'll add dreamers, I'll add visionaries. And the luminaries I'm going to talk about tonight have those. And really, I like the dreamers and visions even more so, because it means that they saw something in their mind, in their imagination, before it became reality. And they worked towards sharpening their skills or their vocations to make that a reality. Now, a number of years ago, there was a commercial out, and some of you young folks may not remember it, but it was concerning a stockbroker who sold stock, and it was E.F. Hutton. And the commercial came on, and there was a lot of commotion going on. But they said, when E.F. Hutton speaks, everybody listens. So these luminaries I'm going to talk about tonight, some of them, are in that category, that when they speak, you listen, because they have walked the walk, they've talked the talk, and they're worthy of being listened to. They're dreamers, they're visionaries, they're influencers. They have skilled themselves in their vocation. And I'm going to start with the first one, and I'm going to start in this particular order. And again, I can't be as long as I would like to be. I'm watching the clock, and I'm not the only one watching the clock. So we're going to be as proficient as possible. But we're going to talk first. Next slide. Oh, let's go back one. We need to go back to that other slide for a second. All right, that's good enough. That's good enough. Now I'm going to talk about luminaries who are proficient in a number of different categories. We're going to start with, next slide. Nicholas Beard, Meigs 66, an award-winning recording artist who is based out of Oakland, California, in the San Francisco area. He has award-winning productions. Some of his albums and songs have been in the top 10 and number 1 on different charts. He has been to Nashville, comes back to Nashville on occasion, and to the Southeast, but he's been pretty much all over the world, especially in Europe and the United States, because he's that popular and he's that good. So he started here, and I understand that he got the bug for music when he was at home with his parents. And I'm hearing that they would have card parties, and he would sing for them. So that's how he got started. Nicholas Beard is an actor. He's a teacher. Of course, his first love is music. And again, there are a number of things that I could say about him, but Nicholas Beard, luminary, Meigs High School, currently in the Oakland area, and you can find out more about him on his website and other places. Next slide. Woo! Harold Hockett, Meigs High alumni, 1967. Elder Hockett finished Meigs in 67. He received his BS and master's degree from TSU in speech, therapy, and theater. He's a skilled craftsman as well. He spent time in the U.S. Air Force, where he worked with his hands, and that handiwork has helped him with the activities at Born Again Church. They're building another facility, and his skills are a vital part of that. He retired as, oh really? All right, I'll say he, as assistant minister at the Born Again Church. Of course, he's a family man, and some of his wife and kids are here tonight. Again, I can't really do diligence as I want to for him. I told him that I was going to have him up on the ceiling with what I was going to say, and he said, don't do that. So I'm deciding I'll just keep him kind of halfway. But he's a vital part of Meigs, and again, he's someone who has represented Meigs well, represented life well, and again, I said retired, but he kind of nixed that. I know he's still very active in the things he needs to do. And again, I can't do justice. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some of your athletic abilities, but we're going to hold that for another time. Next slide. Lavinia Harrison. Now, she attended Meigs until the 9th grade. She received her Bachelor's of Business Administration from Tennessee State University, also a Master's of Science degree in Public Service Management. She got a PhD or her Master's at Cumberland University in Lebanon, Tennessee. She is currently a compliance officer, Tennessee Department of Health, Department of Ethics. She's quite involved with the civil rights compliance policies, development, and investigations conducted statewide. She has trained or has been a part of training over 3,000 employees during her time at the state. She facilitates human resources leadership classes and conferences throughout the state. She was quite involved with the Civil Rights Museum in Memphis, Tennessee, as far as the construction of it, the overseeing, the management of it. Again, there's so many things that she has been involved with. She is a Delta, and I know there's some Deltas here. I can't make that sound. They won't let you make that sound unless you're a Delta. But again, sorry. Stand up. All right. Next slide. My timing is moving on me. Cordell Simpson is not here tonight. He could not make it. He is currently the chaplain at Vanderbilt University. He's been at Vanderbilt since 2003. He was the first African-American chaplain at Vanderbilt. And if he were here, he could tell you some of the stories and some of the issues he had at that particular time. Probably Brother Churchwell could as well. But being a chaplain, one of the things he says he enjoys most is listening to patients and their families at some of the most difficult times of their life, when they're making life and death decisions, and they need someone who has the compassion to listen and to listen. And those things, he says, he internalizes them. So he takes his work very serious. And that's a position that is kind of looked over until you need someone in that position. Now, being a chaplain, he's also a minister, but in his earlier life or earlier days, he was in the Army, and he was with the 101st Airborne Division. So if you know anything about Airborne Division, they were supposed to be the tough guys. So he's gone from being a tough guy to being a very compassionate guy. Next slide. Sandra Waters Hope, Associate Professor of Communications, Director of University Honors Program, Women's Center, Tennessee State University. Can I say retired? Retired. All right. Retired. She got a bachelor's. Of course, she finished Meigs in '67, earned a bachelor's and master's at TSU, earned a PhD in rhetoric and interpersonal intellectual communications from Florida State University. She was director of the honors program at Tennessee State University. She was awarded a $10K promotional grant to host a minority leadership conference that was attended by over 600 participants, and mostly HBCUs. So, and she served on a number of boards. And again, I'd like to go more, but I'm getting this hand signal. Stand up. So you can see that Meigs has produced a lot of luminaries that are here tonight. And again, there are a number who are here that I can't or don't have the time, or no, I won't say I don't have the time. I'm not allowed the time to go into detail. So I'll put it where it is. Next slide. Thomas Simpson. He finished, he went to Meigs to the 9th grade. He's currently and has been for the past 30 plus years, founder and artistic director of Afro Solo Company, San Francisco, California. Now, being a director of a company, a theatric company, is a major task with getting all the participants together and the training and things that are necessary to be in theatrics. And we got some preachers up here who are deeply involved with theatrics. So when I talk of things like that, they know exactly what I'm talking about, the skills that are necessary to do that. It's a San Francisco-based nonprofit. It's dedicated to creating the Black experience through the performing arts. And again, he's been doing it for 30 plus years and sharing stories through dance, music, poetry, and his production company through the years has included or employed thousands of actors and participants. And even one of our previously mentioned luminaries has been part of his production as well, and that's in the process in the name of Nicholas Beard as well. Next slide. Barbara Simmons Toms could not be with us tonight. She finished TSU, Tennessee State University, finished Meigs first, then Tennessee State University. She went on to get her law degree, and she worked for various law firms in Nashville. She worked for the Public Defender's Office. She ran her own office, and then later she decided to go to her really first love, which was cooking. And Sweet Creations Bakery, that when I would come to Nashville, I would try to make that stop to get some of those pies from her. So she is retired, but she's done a lot of public service work as well. And again, to wear those hats, be an attorney of law, and then as well, Sweet Creations. Now, I'll also say this about her. I'm in Atlanta, but I've had business things in Nashville, and there was a particular time I had a law problem, and she came to my aid to take care of it, and she said this: there's really no one else that you should be talking to about this other than me. And she was right. Next slide. It's got a big cheering section. That's right. I want to get to the right page. I don't want to mess this one up. He's on the front, and he's got his contingent with him. Bishop Horace Hockett, we'll have you stand. Everybody knows you, but come on. Graduated Meigs, 1967. Graduated TSU, 71, Bachelor's of Science and Master's of Science degree in Communications with emphasis on theater. Also served as a faculty member for the College of Communications at Tennessee State University. And he wrote his thesis on a play, first Christian play, The Last Days. Now, when he finished, he went to Fayetteville, South Carolina, and for a few years on the staff of Fayetteville State. And at that time, he started his preaching endeavors with a small congregation. In, I believe, 76, he came back to Nashville with his wife and family, sons, and 2 sons or sons and daughter? 2 sons, all right. And a few years later, they started Born Again Church. Born Again Baptist Church or Born Again, just Born Again? Just Born Again? Just Born Again Church. See, I said he's theatrics and all that, so he's going to make sure I get it right. And Born Again Church is a very popular church, very well known. The ministries are known throughout the area. But I want to go back before he came to Nashville, when he was in Fayetteville, and he started preaching, and his style was different. Both of their styles are different, but his style is different because he likes to use that background that he has in theatrics. And it was said back then, this guy, the way he does things, is he a real preacher? So I think from that background to where he is or where he was today tells that, yes, he was. And even though he's, can I say retired or can I retired? All right. But he still is active. And again, they're in the process of building this rehab center for men. All right. And his skills are very much needed there. Retirement for active seniors. Now, see, he's just not going to let me get away unless I enunciate the way I'm supposed to. And that's how I remember him way back in the day. Now, just like I said about his brother, I could talk about athletics, but we're going to pass on that and just stick with the facts that he's proficient in the things that he does. Now, I think that's all that I'm supposed to say, but I must mention this. There are other luminaries that are not here, and I wish I had time to talk about them. I'm just going to name a few. Luther Olympia Johnson was involved in NASA. Chucky Burke, I think, is here. Dr. Shelton, coach, award high school teams, championships. Harry Gilmore, John Howard, who went to Meigs, but are very much involved with the community. Doc Shelton, I mentioned that. Leroy Cunningham, an officer in the Navy of high rank. Jesse Russell, who finished Cameron, but attended Meigs and was very instrumental in developing the technology for cell phones. And I'll say this, there are a number of Meigs luminaries who have done well in business and their professions, but there are also a number of Meigs alumni, and some of them are here tonight who have done quite well financially. We got some millionaires in here. Can I call names? Or we better not call names. But that's my time is up, and thank you very much.
That was spectacular. Thank you. That was really good. Excellent. That's great. I looked at this crowd. This probably is the largest of all the Black History programs we've done in terms of attendance here, so this is really impressive. Thank you for everybody coming, being supportive. I had Arnold and Ophelia talk because they're really far up in the alumni chain here and alumni leaders for Meigs, and so we're really thankful for the work they've been doing over the years to support the alumni of Meigs High School. We're going to move now to our community leaders, and I'm going to have to go out of order a little bit. Is Michael Crowder still here? Okay, well, we'll have to come back to him then. So we will proceed on. We're going to have people come up and share like a few minutes of kind of what Meigs meant to them and East Nashville and how that has influenced their own career paths. And so we're going to begin with Dorothy Giles Lake.
Good evening. First of all, I would probably shock a lot of my professors because basically I didn't do a prepared speech for this evening. But what I did do and what I want to do in approximately 5 to 6 minutes is to share just a few items with you based on my experiences at Meigs. I was privileged to spend 12 years in Meigs School. A little girl who entered Meigs in September of 1953 and was there for 12 years, left in June of 1965. And some of the things that happened while I was there are some of my takeaways from being at Meigs. That you were fortunate enough to basically get a private education based on public funds. Because the love, the interest that was invested in each student, we had some excellent teachers. And sometimes we didn't discover that until after we had graduated. And we discovered their backgrounds, their education, their many talents, and they poured that into each one of us. We were their projects, and they worked to bring out the best in each one of us. We had individualized instruction, and Meigs was a part of the village, the church, the family, and the school. Our teachers were involved in all aspects of our lives, not just the classroom, but they were interested if there were problems in the family, when you lost loved ones, when they wanted you or they encouraged you to participate in something and to move out of your comfort zone. And they would assist in making that happen. In the case of yours truly, you weren't encouraged to procrastinate. But when Mr. Petway left Meigs and went to Fisk University as the director of admissions, he opened the door for Meigs students to come to Fisk. I was a little slow in getting my application done. The guidance counselor, Mr. Van, came to my house and talked to my mother to find out what the problem was, that I hadn't finished my paperwork in a timely manner. In the lower grades, I give homage to Mrs. Patton, who taught us in the 7th and 8th grades to prepare your income tax. That was your final exam. And sometimes in my latter years, I would push myself to prepare my taxes because that was what she had given to us. And most of all, I am so grateful for the foundation that Meigs School gave to me, because everything that I have accomplished, everything that I have done since my graduation from Meigs, my matriculation at Fisk, my attendance at Peabody College at Vanderbilt, So many of those things were based on the basic lessons that I got at Meigs School. When you're early, you're on time. When you're on time, you're late. When you're late, it's not acceptable. You always do your best. Prepare yourself. If a door is open, walk through it. If it's difficult, stick with it. Live your best life each day. I am thankful for the friends that I still associate with today. And we have maintained our friendship since our days at Meigs. And it was only proper if I share some of that with you tonight. My fellow cheerleaders and the members of the class of 65, would you stand up? Thank you.
I was going to actually make the comment. Y'all saw one of those cute cheerleaders in there, one of those slides. That was Dorothy there on the front row. I was going to make a comment about that, Dorothy, but I'm not going to do that. Lonnie couldn't make it here. Michael Douglas is going to come up. Mike, I do want to comment. Dorothy is retired from the public services. She's a public services librarian at Fisk University, retired from administrative assistant for the state of Tennessee in the Department of Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. So she made great use of her education here at Meigs High. Thank you, Dorothy. Mike Douglas, Meigs High School class of 67, retired from Nissan Motor Corporation. Mike.
Good evening. Well, it's good to see everybody. I haven't seen these guys in a long time. It's good to see them. I'm not going to be here long. But I do like what Dorothy had to say. I could just say everything she said was right on. But, you know, anytime you get a jock up to talk, you know what you're going to get. So we got some sports. I know Miss Whitfield, whenever she see me, she don't know my name. She said, "You that basketball boy." I said, "Yeah, that's me. But I'm going to make this quick. You know, there were a lot of good things that went on in Meigs while we were there, and just growing up in East Nashville, you hear a lot about what a family it is, you know, and how the teachers are so great, and all of that is true. There are a couple of things that stood out for me during my time there, like I said, being a jock. So, you know, one was in 65. And and, you know, I looked back there when I was sitting there, and I said, it looked like Jerry. That looked like Jerry Lennox. And I want him to stand up because one of the moments, he had a big part in it. Back in 65, I was thinking we were in the gym, but now they tore the old one down. This is a new one. But we played Pearl in the Cracker Box back in 65, and they had all them big old boys playing for them, and little old Meigs didn't have a chance. But Jerry that night, I mean, he played, he showed out. He showed out and carried us to victory. I had just come up from the junior high team, so I was a sophomore then, and Jerry led the way, and I think I was second in scoring that night for us. So that was a big night. That stands out for me. I know a lot of you here probably remember that, and some don't. You remember that? And then the second time was when I was a senior. Arnold was on that team. We had a good team. I think we was undefeated going into Christmas. So they invited us to play at Vanderbilt in the March of Dimes game. And so we played Stratford. And Stratford was a powerhouse, you know, a lot of Ray Maddox and all them guys. So we played them out there at Vandy. We beat them. And I tell you what, you know, everybody was crazy that night. So it was a special time. like I said, Arnold was there, Kenneth Childs, Terry Lewis. We had a good team that year. And those are the two things that stand out for me. Like I said, when you get a job up talking, this is what you're going to get. Well, I wasn't going to mention that. But y'all, it's good seeing everybody, and y'all enjoy the rest of the program.
Some things stay in your memory forever, locked in your memory. I remember quite well seeing this 6'3" guy up with Perry Wallace, who's 6'5", and they're both going over the rim. I think their arms are this much over the rim, and I was just kind of shocked that people could jump that high. But it was a great, great team. Moving on to Floyd Hughes. Floyd finished the 9th grade here, then went on to East, but a lot of his siblings finished Meigs. My goodness, how many, Floyd? Too many, he said. Okay, there you go. Floyd's minister of the Church of Christ at East Side and client relations director at Waypoint Financial Services. Floyd Hughes.
Thank you, man. All right. First of all, I want to give God all the glory and all the honor, because the reason that we're here is because of Jesus. I do have a lot to say, but I don't know why people calling me and saying, Floyd, you got 5 minutes. I don't understand that. And everybody else is taking 10, 15, 20. But let me say to Dr. André Churchwell and the Churchwell family, they are family, okay? In fact, he is my doctor, all right? And I liked him so much and loved him so much that I said, well, Trish, won't you let him be your doctor? And so Andre is my wife's doctor. And I said, Andre, I don't want you looking at my wife, man. You're a doctor. Well, let me just say, you know, growing up in East Nashville is an awesome time, all right? And, you know, there's a lot to talk about, because during that period, there was places called the Bottom, okay? Douglas Center, Mrs. Franklin and John Howard. These people, they were so instrumental in your life growing up. I remember Miss Franklin got me one time. You know, back then, anybody could whoop you. So I'm out there messing around, and I was doing something, and she popped me. I said, Miss Franklin, what did I do? And so, you know, you live in a time that when you're growing up in Nashville, Tennessee, you have a lot of love for everybody. It's like this family. You know, my big brother Isaiah and Carol is here, and all the Hughes family. I remember Mr. Baker came to me. He said, Floyd, you're going to be a star one day. I'm a little chubby 12-year-old boy. What do you mean? He said, he put his arms around, you're going to be my star one day. I said, really? And I think he was looking at Isaiah and thought I was going to be like Isaiah. But that's the encouragement that I got. Mr. Baker, you know, and I will share this with you. Anytime you see a young person, be positive and tell them something. Because the words that I was told as a kid growing up in Nashville, East Nashville, I still remember today. I remember John Howard told me, he said, Floyd, you ain't gonna never let yourself go, man. Talking about getting weight, you know, getting big, you know. Because, you know, one time I was 312 pounds, but I kept hearing him say, you're not gonna let yourself go. So the little things that you say to your children, your grandchildren, can make a difference in their lives today. Because growing up in East Nashville was an awesome place to grow up. When we were growing up, Andre, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to tell my story, Ricky and all of us, we would stand on the corner at 12 o'clock at night. We didn't worry about being shot. There was no fighting. The only problem we had, somebody try to pull a fire alarm, and then we had to go running. That was our excitement for then. So you see how times have changed. When we were playing basketball, we would play all day long. And then, y'all ever heard of Stinky Reed? Oh, you heard of him? Oh, yeah. He was in the Bottom, okay? But let me say, you know, when we were playing basketball, we would play all day. And then we get through, we go up to Wise and get some orange juice. We wasn't getting no Mad Dog or none of that stuff. We wasn't drinking or smoking. We were just having a good time drinking orange juice, right? And then we would drink orange juice, and we come right back and play some more. And it was just a loving atmosphere. And some of the bonds and some of the people that I know today, whether I see them on 20 years from now, I am still bonded to them because of East High School. Yes, Michael Douglas was good, but I'll take him right now. I'm just saying, okay? May God bless you, and thank you very much. And if you're in Nashville, come to 4040 Merridale Drive, the Church of Christ on the East Side. May God bless.
It's hard to get those ministers to talk 5 or 6 minutes. There you go. Thank you, Floyd. We do have one of our teachers here, Senorita Margaret Whitfield. Pearl High School class of 51, but taught in the Metropolitan School System here at Meigs from 1958 till they closed the senior high school in 1969. And it's always great to have a teacher come up and share her view, her perspective, from her lens about us and the students.
Good evening, everyone. I was telling him he sent out a plethora of memos reminding us 5 minutes. And I tore my speech up, honestly, 4 different times to get down to 5 minutes. So I may be a little bit over. I began my teaching career in Nashville at Meigs in 1958. 3 years after graduating from TSU. I knew that my chances of teaching Spanish in Nashville after graduation were slim to none. You see, there was only one high school, Pearl, and my Spanish teacher was still there. As graduation time grew near, I often had thoughts that I would end up in Mississippi, the one place I didn't want to go. Nevertheless, I found myself there 1 month removed from the lynching of Emmett Till. I spent 2 years at Lanier High School in Jackson. The next year, I taught at Shelby County Training School that's right outside of Memphis. And lo and behold, Nashville decided to add another high school. When I received the news that Meigs was to be the next Metro High School, I was elated at least, but I was home at last. At a later interview with M.D. Neely, who was then the supervisor of black teachers, confirmed that I had been chosen to teach not only the languages, but 7th grade art. I fully understand the reason that I had to teach art, because this was the first year of the high school, and we only had a few 10th graders, mainly because the rising 10th graders were given the option to stay at Meigs or to go to Pearl. More than half of those chose to do the latter, leaving only 26 students in the class of 61. Speaking of the class of 61, and I'm going to deviate here, but I must mention 2 of its members who have remained a part of my life. Baxter Drake, whose life we recently celebrated, along with his family for more than 20 years, were my pew mates at church. He often greeted me on Sunday morning with, "Good morning, Senorita Whitfield." I couldn't understand why he couldn't remember Buenos Dias. The other is Stella Hannah Simpson, who became a sorority sister, who shared with me just recently that she decided to be a teacher because of me. I was grateful. I am equally grateful when I see many of you out and about, Walmart and other places. I got a Walmart buddy over there. You always greet me warmly. Please continue to do so. but just don't ask me to call your name. I promise you I'm not going to remember. The administration at Meigs was led by, you've already heard the name of J.K. Petway, a no-nonsense principal who was firm and some thought a little demanding. However, I saw him as a leader who was determined that the faculty did their best to ensure success for each student. The transition to high school was seamless, remembering that he still had the elementary school as well as the middle school to manage. I could give a lot of examples, but I had to cut something out. One example of his leadership is as it related to us as teachers. We had to share all pending final exams to him for approval. Didn't care what you taught. And at first, I wasn't sure that he was going to do all of this, but I remember on one occasion, on one of my tests, it came back with a correction because I had left an H out of the word tryptophan, and he corrected it. Even in year one of Meigs as a high school, students participated in a variety of extracurricular activities as well as interscholastic sports you've all heard about. Our assemblies showcased the musical talent, dramatics, and even fashion shows from the home ec class. And of course, my Spanish students celebrated Pan American Day on April 14. I think they didn't like it because I had them to dress like Latin American people. As I mentioned, the elementary students were housed at Meigs, which allowed selected third and fourth graders to explore learning French and Spanish. And that we did for years. In fact, he's sitting on one of your brothers was in the fourth grade now. Eventually, Catherine Evans came and took care of the French students. As teachers, we not only shared subject matter, but we tried to instill life skills that would lead to successful futures. And looking at this panel, as well as those of you out in the audience, we did exactly that. It has been rewarding for me to see Meigs alumni contributing and making differences in their communities. I know I speak for all of your former teachers when I say we are proud of all of you. My years at Meigs certainly prepared me for what came next. Meigs closure coincided with Meigs integration, with Metro's integration of faculties. So Mr. Churchwell and I were sent to Antioch High School, where I retired in 1988. But I wasn't through at Meigs yet. At my MEA retirement appreciation, it was Meigs alumna Linda Simpson who presented me with my award. What an honor and a fitting place for me to end this presentation. Thank you.
That's great. Beautiful, just beautiful. We're going to have André L speak from her spot. Can you cut her mic on? Make it hot? Thank you there. Right. André met Meigs High School class of 1968 as a retired judge of Davidson County Court Division II. And you have the floor, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Mavericks. I'm very honored to be here among all of these wonderful people. And I'm just thinking back to all the good times I had at Meigs and the history of Meigs and how they how the teachers really feel about not only you completing your homework assignment, but how you acted before class and after class. And if they happen to see you out, if you were out in the public, how you were acting, making sure you were not going to bring any shame on Meigs. I have to say that when I started at Meigs, my father and his family had been through there. So he told me that I didn't have a choice and I didn't have any attitude, and that if need be, that J.K. Petway would take care of it. So I'm thankful for him. And the one experience that I had when I was on the bench, well, I had a lot of them, but the one that's the most memorable to me is the very first day that I was sworn in and I had traffic court. And when you get the docket that morning, so you see what kind of cases you have. And when I saw Mackie Driver, I thought, oh, Lord, who else can take my place? Who? And the chief judge said, no, ma'am, you got to deal with it. So I went out on the bench. They called her name. She came up, and I said, good morning, Miss Driver. She said, now, Andre, you know. I said, Miss Driver, let me hear from the police officer. I had already talked to him and explained my predicament, and that when I ruled against him, I wasn't trying to be mean, but I could not put a fine on Miss Mackie Driver. So I have to dismiss the case. And he said, yes, he understood. So that taught me that no matter what you do in life, Meigs will follow you. And I also am proud because my daughter, after Meigs no longer became a high school, it was a magnet school. And my daughter attended Meigs Magnet from 1995 through 1999. So we have had a long history, and I am so proud to see everybody here, and I'm so proud and thankful for the people that we had that cared about us, really cared about us, and was determined that we were not going to do anything to hurt ourselves or hurt our community. I appreciate being here, and I hope we have many more of these, and we have more people come up and say how wonderful Meigs High School is. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Next is someone I don't know that well, but his name is Robert Churchwell, Jr. Bobby finished the 11th grade here and then went on to finish the 12th grade at East. He's a retired Metro Nashville Public Schools principal, but many of you know he's kind of the legacy principal of our dad's school, Robert Churchill Museum Magnet School. Bobby, come on. I think you and I got the message. Pinstripes, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, I got the message. I got the memo too, bro. Yeah. I started at Meigs in the 1st grade, and I moved through the grades to the 11th grade. One of the great parts of the day was eating lunch in our cafeteria, where you would get a good home-cooked meal and the sugar cookies. The sugar cookies. Can I get an amen? The sugar cookies were the best in the world. All right now. I got your attention now. Now, we had the best teachers who challenged and loved us. And even the books that were stamped with the property of East High or Overton High School, excellence was demanded and expected. My first grade teacher, Ms. Porter, gave me the foundation that I needed. She added to what my mother, Mrs. Mary E. Churchwell, taught me at home. And I got my first band director job when I was chosen to conduct the May Day band for our May Day celebration with Ola Dow Beard, Iris Dawes, Patty Green, Patricia Cowan, and several other beautiful girls serving as majorettes. The song flutes and the xylophones and the drums filled the air with music. We had outstanding teachers who were beautiful. Miss Whitfield, who would float into the classroom. She had a beautiful smile and was sharp every day. She taught us Spanish. Unos, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. I still remember, but I'm not going to give you the rest of that, okay? Thank you, bro. That's right. I knew you had my back, okay? And Miss Josephine Tipton, who was one of our physical ed teachers, I would run down the hallway to get to class. Mr. Walker and Prof. Gray would say, Churchwell, slow down. But I wanted to get to the locker room and get dressed so that I could be the first student in the gym, and I did anything she asked us to do. Jumping jacks. If she said roll on the floor, I would roll from one end of the gym to the other end of the gym. And one of the best history teachers, Miss Ford. If you didn't behave, she would say, old boy. Mr. Robert Bob Holmes, who taught me how to play the violin and was instrumental in my interest in music. Mr. Edward Howell, our fantastic band director who had a fantastic band. He taught me how to play the trombone. And Mrs. Dawson, our sweet and gifted choir director. Mr. Ronald Davis, our drama teacher, who had great plays, and the Hockett brothers were the stars of the plays. We had our challenging math teachers, Mr. Richard Hatfield and Miss Patton. Coach Leroy Wright, Coach Everett Walker, Coach John Fair, Coach Roger Baker, and last but not least, Prof. Gray. Principals J.K. Petway and William Gupton, and the mummy was not in Egypt. It was a paddle that was covered. Some of y'all remember that. I don't remember it. I just saw it. Was covered with athletic tape and was used to correct your behavior. And sometimes during the day when the school was quiet, you would hear the PA system come on. And you would hear, bend over, son. And you could hear the air moving and the person hollering, ah! When the mummy hit its target. Sitting in an auditorium, watching the senior class of Rogers show and seeing Ronnie Northern doing his rendition of Jackie Gleason's I Had But 50 Cents. Watching our great basketball teams battle Pearl and Cameron in our beloved Cracker Box. When we had to move from Meigs to East High because of the integration of Metro and Natural Public Schools. For 16 years, starting in 1970, when I graduated from East, but I so wanted to graduate from Meigs. For 16 years, the valedictorian, salutatorian, and the top 10 scholars in the graduating class came from Meigs. Let our hearts burst forth and tell thee, Meigs, our dear old school. Thank you.
Well done, brother. I was going to wonder who's going to talk about the mummy. I had that in my notes here. Having never met the mummy, but having heard of the mummy, I thought I would at least bring that up. We're in with the youngest member of the panel, Ricky Cole. Ricky finished here at the 8th grade and went on to East High and finished, but clearly is an East Nashville kid. Ricky.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Meigs family. It's so good to be with you tonight. It's a blessing to be here. Meigs Maverick. You know, if you cut me, I won't bleed red, but I will bleed blue. And that's what the room feels like tonight. It feels like family. It feels like a reunion just to be here and to see all the faces of people that you went to school with. My name is Ricky Cole, and class of 1974, East High School. I attended Meigs High School through grades 1 through 8, roughly 1962 through 1970. And before I go any further, I would like to recognize someone who is here with us tonight, Mr. Carl Reed, a staple and a pillar in our community, in the East Nashville community, for over 61 years, 86 years young. Mr. Carl Reed, would you raise your hand? Mr. Carl Reed. Thank you for being here, Mr. Reed. And again, for those of us, and I'm just reiterating what's already been said, but for those of us who attended Meigs, it was truly like a family. I went to East, but I'm still a Maverick. I'm still a Maverick. You know, my parents were on the PTA board. The teachers cared for us, and they nurtured us, and they made sure we were doing the right thing. Actually, they were like parents away from home. But the biggest thing for me was that we could walk the halls and see people that we looked up to, like Michael Douglas and Jerry Lennox, Arnold Simpson. And we were young cats, man. I'm talking about elementary school, but we could walk the halls and see our idols. It was just a family atmosphere here at Meigs. Well, I had just completed the 8th grade, my 8th grade year at Meigs, and we were feeling pretty good about being promoted into the 9th grade, only to find out that Meigs as a high school would no longer exist. Well, needless to say, we were devastated. We were devastated. And this means that I would not have the opportunity to be coached by the legendary Leroy Wright. I mean, I was hurt. And we were so angered that we decided that we were going to protest. And if you remember, in the 60s, there were a lot of protests, so we thought we knew what we were doing. So here we go. School starts. We're promoted into the 9th grade. We're bused to East Junior High School, and we decided we weren't going. So about 8 of the athletes from Meigs Junior High School, we were standing in the front yard of Eric Martin's house. And we just were listening to music, and we just decided we're not going. About 10 o'clock, somebody said, man, we might need to head on over to the school. Our protest lasted for 2 hours. And we all agreed, yeah, maybe we better head on to the school. So upon reaching the front of the school, standing on the front steps was a menacing Coach Ed Eccles, the Caucasian basketball coach for East Junior High School. Coach Eccles had been standing out on those front steps for about 2 hours. He was waiting for his new championship basketball players to arrive. Well, when I tell you, we had never been cursed out so bad, and we were cursed out by Coach Eccles. I mean, he said, get in this school. And that's what we did. But, you know, the thing about it is, what would happen is Coach Eccles would actually end up being the best coach we'd ever have at East High School in the 9th grade. Now, he was a heck of a coach because you didn't get out of line with him. And so I remember him fondly. But as it turns out, what I found out is that when I got up to East Junior High School, Meigs was up there too. I mean, Andrew Whitfield and Anthony Odie and, Robert and André Churchwell, they were at East too. So it was like, hey, we're here. And so I just want to say that my experience in being bused to East High School, it was not all that bad. We missed the family, we missed our teachers, we missed people who really cared about us, but it wasn't so bad. And I really enjoyed my time at East, but not as much as I did when I was at Meigs. Thank you for listening. May God bless you.
Perfect. Well, we've had some really great comments, haven't we? And these have been really superb vignettes of people's lives, and you can see the interconnections between East Nashville and Meigs and the success, and we're all kind of a family unit. Ricky's daughter is now a first-year pediatric intern at Vanderbilt Medical Center. She is going to be our full-time faculty member. If I have anything to say about it, and we helped to get her in, but we didn't need to do too much because she was trained pretty well at home, Ricky. She did beautifully, so she's in there at Vanderbilt. So there's so many connections we have here. I have just a few comments, but I got to turn this around. We heard about Mom and Dad, so I'm not going to go to that, but that's a picture from 1968, and Bobby and I are here at Meigs, and my sister is at elementary school, and my little younger brothers, they probably had a rotten cotton, they called it, as I understand. But the family is family, and their commitment to education and supporting this school was just paramount. They believed, as did all the teachers that you've heard here, they inculcated into our little brains, as did these great teachers, Senator Whitfield and E.S. Walker in General Sciences. For me, Proc Graham Mechanical Drawing, which I took to Vanderbilt Engineering School and made A's from his work. These were great lessons. They were all part of the large collective family. So though that's my family, most of the teachers, virtually all the teachers I encountered here were true surrogates. They were true family, parental surrogates for all of us. So I end by thanking everybody for coming. This finishes our series of programs on Black Nashville. And you can see how rich those stories are. We had rich stories at Pearl, rich stories at Cameron, very rich stories here, and that are so proximal to me. I can walk home right now to 707 North 9th Street and knock on the door, and my sister will open the door and let me in. So I want to thank everybody for coming. This has been spectacular. I want to thank some people specifically. I want to thank Principal Neal and her team for putting up with our time here and supporting us. Thank you. Good to see a lot of black folks at Meigs, isn't it? Good, yeah, there you go. I want to thank Rebecca Price and her team from the Public Library who have been my great partners in putting these programs on. Rebecca, where are you? Raise your hand someplace. There she is. Rebecca and Courtney and the team and our TV team back there led by Forrest to put this on. I will say that this has been streamed live through their YouTube channel, the Public Library, but in the morning, pretty soon, probably sometime late morning, you'll be able to go on Then and Now, History of Minority Communities in Nashville on their YouTube channel, and this will be there. So you'll be able to watch it again and again and again. Whoa, what you got? Is that my sister back there? There it is. You finally made it from North 9th Street. Hey there, sister. There you go. That's my little brother there, Doc pointing it out. We played a lot of street ball together, Doc. Well, I want to thank you for coming, Marisa. But I want to thank Rebecca and her team. I want to thank my wife for 43 years, Doretha Henderson Churchwell, because if I didn't have her to support me, I couldn't do this program. She tolerates these creative urges that I have to do things like this. Poor woman. Please pray for her. And then lastly, if we didn't have Marla Robertson, my executive assistant, Marla, wherever you raise your hand, please. If it's no Marla, no program. She's been able to put this whole thing together for the last few years. So I thank everybody for coming. Thank you for sharing these great stories, both our historians as well as our community leaders. Such rich stories, such a huge, tapestry of different colors and cultures and experiences all kind of woven together here with the white and blue. Bobby, can you come forward and lead us in the alma mater? I think we have the slide. Here we go. And lead us in the alma mater here. Everybody want to stand up? This will be the last thing we do. Yeah. All right, folks. All you Mavericks. Let our hearts burst forth and tell thee, Meigs, our dear old school. All through life we'll sing thy praises, how you taught the rule. Meigs, dear Meigs, oh, how we love thee, love thy white and blue. And blue, you have been an inspiration with your lessons true. When the years have gone before us, we'll still sing thy song. We'll remember what you taught us when our hearts were young. Come on now, let's go. Meigs, oh how we love thee, love thy white and blue. And blue, you have been an inspiration with your lessons true. All right. Hey. Thank everybody for coming. All right. Oh, great. Thank you, man. Thank you. Absolutely. Glad to do it.